What do y'all think about that? I think that Trump's margins in this state were cut short by at least 110,000 votes. Slide, please. This is half and half. I think if I were to go out over the 3,100 counties in April of 2022, I probably would call the 8th county red. But I called it yellow for one simple reason, it's because the registration numbers in the county showed that the Democrats should be making gains. The Democrats shortened the Republican registration advantage, and I will show you how. Slide. This, of course, is the political center of gravity in the state. You have some smaller Republican strongholds that are worth a lot of margin. You can get up north in the Panhandle. You can go out to the southeast. These are big Republican numbers. But here in Ada County, you can see in 2004 that George Bush carried this county by 36,000 votes. Now, what happens in political science? I mentioned to you Barack Obama being one of the weakest incumbents in the history of the United States. Well, if you're an America First conservative, are all y'all America First guys? Any rhinos in here? Just look for a tail between the legs. I think we're done. You have to go home to yourself and admit in the mirror that George W. Bush was one of the worst presidents in the history of the United States. We had 2 wars to begin that we couldn't win, with no objectives to win. By the way, do we have any veterans in the house? I know I've met a few. Thank you, veterans. 2 wars that we couldn't win, the collapse of the financial market, the collapse of the housing market, the birth of a surveillance state in your house and in your pocket, the TSA lines being a good example of that. We had a president that was a human punching bag that we still fought for 8 years after he left the White House. And then he stabbed you in the back the minute Trump became the standard bearer for the GOP. And when you have somebody like that that crawls out of the White House on their hands and knees with a 25% approval rating, you're going to wind up with a 4th electoral trend for whoever you leave as your successor, and that would be John McCain. You already have a natural pendulum shift in the country when the party that's out of the White House has a tailwind. So what happens manifests itself in Ada County in 08. Slide, please. And you can see a loss of votes for McCain, even though the county is growing tremendously, and for Obama, a gain of 24,000 votes. 24,000. Obama picked up the soft middle suburban moderates, not so much in Idaho, but he threw out a lot of the South. A record turnout of minority voters with a record share of the vote. Write that down. Barack Obama plus 24,000 in Ada County in 2008. That is something of a benchmark. He was a rock star candidate with super charisma and coming off 8 terrible Republican years. 24,000 votes. Slide this. Now you're going to see the shift back towards the GOP. Romney picks up 4,000 votes. Obama is down 5,000. Romney was not a rock star. So Romney's gains are part because Obama dumped votes everywhere. Not very many places did Romney really blow anything out on his own. Most of his gains were made because Obama dropped. In Texas, Romney barely gained any votes at all, but the state became 5 points more Republican because Obama dropped over 200,000 votes in his first election. Obama's first term brought about the death of the non-college white voter for the Democrats. They no longer identified with Obama or the Democrats after Obama's first term, and that's why the shift in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and other states became so strong. Now we're going to find out in 2016 how Donald Trump plays with this electorate. We saw that statewide, Trump was down in votes. He lost some of the suburban moderates, and he had issues with the LDS voters. How did that play out in 2016, Sonny? Slide. All right, what we see is Trump loses 4,000 votes in the county. But the Democrats are down almost 2,000 votes as well. When I told you the Democrats lost control of the working classes, that really exacerbated itself under Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton no longer got the voters who were interested in just a candidate who was a minority, or even though she was a woman candidate, it didn't matter. She was somebody that could not drive out votes, and the Democrats continued to plunge. There was a high third-party share of the vote. Trump still wins the county by about the same number of votes, 2,000 fewer votes than Romney did, but it's still a GOP county. So once again, imagine if Donald Trump. You can see the county is 22.6% more Republican than Democrat, right in the middle of the margin. Imagine if Donald Trump could gain votes in this county. That's a pretty tall task. Look at the Republican column, 4 elections in a row. You see a pattern developing there? The Republicans are stuck between 93 and 97,000 votes in the county, 4 consecutive elections in a row. A growing county. If I'm a Trump forecaster in 2020, how can I hope that Trump can maybe replicate the Romney gain or maybe even hit 100,000 votes for the first time? I'm going to aim for 100,000 votes. We're going to get back some of that lost moderate vote, get back the lost LDS vote. We're going to go for 100,000. Y'all cool with 100,000? Slide. There's a gain of 37,000 votes on the board. You were told Donald Trump was extremely unpopular. Suburban moderates, suburban women hate Donald Trump. Minorities hate Donald Trump. Independents hate Donald Trump. He's lost his working class base, and here's a gain of 37,000 votes. Once again, to me, this is going to look like a blowout because the Democrats have been trending down ever since 2008. They've lost votes 2 cycles in a row. I would be shocked, personally, if the Democrats even had 75,000 votes. If they didn't gain votes at all, I would not be surprised. I would expect them to be below 75, probably at 70. But this is amazing. Even though Trump has a record number of votes, the Democrats still registered 24,000 new voters between 2016 and 2020. It's amazing. I'm going to guess 75,000 for the Democrats, just to be generous. What do you think?
100,000.
Slide. I think I scored the number at 20,000 votes initially. I wouldn't be surprised if that's 45 or 50,000 based on the mechanisms that are being used to defraud your elections. Yeah. Voter registration. Fraudulent voter rolls will be the first point we discuss tonight in the 10 points towards bringing about true election integrity. So now that they can control the political center of gravity in the state, they can of course begin to impact your House maps and your Senate maps, which are going to be districted around Boise. And then they're going to shift the balance of power politically, and they're going to take it from being a 2-to-1 Republican kind of stronghold, where we're going to have every single law passed one, into being a milquetoast, blah, Utah or Texas kind of rhino state. In Texas, amazingly, no statewide Democrats elected since 1994. When I was 10 years old, only about 6'4". We haven't had any Democrats elected in almost 30 years. But every year is this choking sensation. Texas is going to turn blue. I spoke at a rally 2 months ago. You know what it was called? Save Texas. Well, we have all these people from California that want to save California and turn it red. Well, I've been in a red state. And we're having rallies called Save Texas when we're going to be red this fall. Every single seat will be won by a Republican statewide. And we're still going to say Save Texas because rhinos. We know. All the veterans in here know the term enemy outside the wire and enemy inside the wire. The enemy outside the wire are the folks that you know you're going out to fight. You know what kind of weapons they carry. You know when they operate. You know what they like to do. Those are the people you're prepared to go out there and face. But the ones you're not prepared to face are the ones that are on your base. These are the ones that are going to attack you when you're trying to eat chow. These are the ones that are inside your camp. And I would consider there to be no greater threat to freedom and liberty in a state like Idaho, which is designed to love liberty and freedom, than the enemy inside the wire, which is the Rhino Republican Party. The Rhino Republican Party is preventing all election integrity measures in this country from taking place, and some of them are so logical that you can't even screen the first racism threat that they like to do. Slide, please. This is the county map, down to the precincts. Same story here. It's in red. It's something that absolutely must be canvassed. It needs to be absolutely sifted through in the voter rolls, a door-to-door sampling, and you'll understand the links to which people went to corrupt our elections through mail balloting. We have serious concerns about elections machines. We have serious issues with ballot harvesting and accepting money. Somebody told me today that the county clerk accepted how much money? $500,000 for drop boxes. Ballot harvesting is the secret sauce designed to turn up mail voting turnout.